God, we thank you for this time that we all come and gather. We gather to celebrate these men that represent our freedom. They gave their time and their opportunity of their lives, possibility, to just go out and provide the freedom and the life that we have, that we celebrate today. Even the ability to come together as a family and friends, they provided for us by risking their lives at some point so many years ago. And they allowed us to see the opportunities that we have by standing up for that freedom. We thank you for them and their steadfastness and their ability and what they did so many years ago. And we thank you for allowing us the time to just celebrate them spontaneously and just driven by some folks to show their gratefulness for it. Father, thank you for that time to look into these gentlemen's eyes and say thank you that they have not forgotten for their service and the blessings they brought for us. In your Son's most powerful name. Amen. Now, there's some young ladies who are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'd all stand with them.
Will you please assist my sister? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May all be seated now. I was happy to have these two young ladies in my little summer class here at the Ladies Aid Hall, and we learned an awful lot about what young people are thinking and things that they don't know about, and they have been very receptive and just willing to do absolutely everything. Tonight, and this is very, very important, we're not here to usurp the VFW or the American Legion. We're just here to thank our guys from downtown Silvara and the neighborhood that have grown up here for how proud we are of them. And it's a small gathering. I know at the VFW, the American Legion, there's hundreds of people there, but this is a little tiny personal thing with just our 7 sitting here. Our subject today, it will be our senior vets and the flag. And we thank you, all of you, for coming to support our little get-together tonight. And before the night is over, because things are going very strangely in the world, I think we all realize it, I'm going to teach you to think about some other F words. Namely, fun, family, fellowship, food, and the flag. To us, the food is especially important. Now, I want all of you to be sure that you sign the guest cards in the back there, because each veteran will get a copy of all the people that came to his little service. It's not a memorial service, it's just a thank you service. And so we all do that along with an official photograph of all of you sitting here. And so as soon as we get a chance to get that together, you will get all of that. But it's very important so you can look at the list and say, geez, I knew this one, I didn't know that one, whatever the case is. There's a few instructions for you folks that are sitting here. One of the things that's very, very important is that when the program is over, if you would just stay seated for just a couple of minutes so our young ladies with the cameras can get the official photograph. Because I know when we hear food, we sort of stampede. You know, I'm usually the head of the stampede, but anyhow, so if you would just sit still for a minute, and then when we say go, or whatever we decide to do, then you'll know. We're not going to cheat you out of any food. So, last month, I was invited to the West Auburn Church to the Week After Mother's Day program. And the speaker was a young lady named Amy Stoddard. Her message was clear and to the point. Do a good deed, as one good deed will lead to another, and another, and another, and another. She went on to explain that she passes a home every day going to work, and she noticed on the flagpole was this very tattered flag. And she thought, isn't that a shame? But then she thought again, why should I criticize? because I don't know the circumstances beyond that door. Are they poor? Are they sick? Do they have doctor bills they can't pay? You know, what is the problem? She went down the road a little further, and the next thing you know, she saw a big billboard that said essentially, do something good today. So she did. Amy went out and bought a flag and delivered it to these people. I would have loved to have seen this, but she said now when she goes to work or down that road, wherever it is, she sees that flag flying, and it just makes her feel good that she did her little thing to help somebody. Can't turn the page here. Just bear with me a minute, my fingers don't work too good. This made me think a lot about the lack of respect which seems to be growing for our flag. A lot of schools no longer open each day with the flag salute. I don't see how that could harm anything. And just this week, on the internet, I saw there was this big protest for this man that had a flag, an American flag, decorating his balcony. And he seemed to be an Oriental man because from the picture. And he was told he must take that flag down because it offended Muslims. That's really sad. And then there's some of us that, some people, not us here, but they hate and disrespect our flag and what it stands for. Either they forgot or don't care. But it was these hometown men here, our vets, who put their lives on the line so that these disrespectful people have the right to voice their opinions and take action against our flag without fear of retribution. Now, Mel, could you play for us 50 names? We'll see with 50 names on the wall. We'll have a little bit of music here for a second. Oh yeah, that's right.
I feel right at home here. Boys in the corner. There's high school rings and teddy bears. Old photographs of mama's grand daddies. Young boys playing ball. Those combat boots they used to wear. He was sent over there. There's 50,000 men caught that war. Come from all across this land, pick up trucks and minivans, searching for the boy from long ago. They scan the wall and find his name. The teardrops fall like pouring rain. It's likely they'll leave a gift in tow. Here's stars of David and rosaries, crucifixion figurines, flowers, all colors, large and small. There's a Boy Scout patch, American. 50,000 names color that wall. They come from all across this land and pick up trouble in many bands, searching for the boy from long ago. Scan the wall and find his name. The teardrops fall like pouring rain, and sadly they'll leave again and go. The stars of David and rosary beads, crucifix and figurines, flowers, all colors, large and small. There's a Boy Scout patch and a American, but American flags waving in the wind. There's 50,000 names carved that wall.
Keep in mind, the United States of America is the only country in the world that has a national pledge of allegiance to their flag and a national anthem that venerates its flag, the Star-Spangled Banner, a national song, the Stars and Stripes Forever, that honors its flag, and a highly detailed federal law that sets out proper flag procedures.
I'd like to dedicate this song to 7 gentlemen sitting up here, and to all of us that love this country we call the United States of America. And I had to start again
the love of mankind, country, and flag cannot be legislated. It must come from the heart. And I don't know whether our young panel up here noticed their little frames that have their name on. We kept them very simple. Whatever their rank was, and only their first name. So you'll see Second Lieutenant Bill and Messman Sue and all this kind of stuff. And by the way, they're all gifts. You can take them home with you as a little memento from tonight. And what you see here in front of you, 7 men from all walks of life. We have a conservationist, an electrician, a farmer, a bricklayer, a refuge engineer, a surveyor, and a carpenter, all coming together to accomplish one task under the stars and stripes: freedom for all. I have lived here for over 35 years, and I thought I knew my neighbors, but wrong as usual. Until 2 weeks ago, I had never in my life seen Phil Norton. Now I can't get rid of it. He calls me every day. And somebody in this house makes good spaghetti, but as I was there the last time, it's hot spaghetti was awesome. And that's shame on me, not shame on Phil Norton. Maybe I should be knocking on more doors and saying hi. Maybe we all should. In my chats with these veterans, I learned some really neat things, like how to skin a sheep with an air hose. And someone actually had the job of being way out there directing guns as to where to fire. I wonder if it was like, hey, a little to the right? No, the other right. Oops. Well, thank God for him. Our youngest on this panel, when he entered the military, or ended the war era, was only 16 years old. I mean, of course, he thought he was going to Walmart shopping and he signed for a credit card. No. So he was too young to get into regular military, so he went to Sheepshead Bay, graduated from there, and became a merchant marine. The first ship that he was on, USS Whitebird Canyon, was hauling aviation fuel from New York to England. You can imagine what that was like in 1943. And he didn't know what it was actually, because the first 14 days out, he was sick in the wreck. So he never even saw it. But no, for the first 16 days anyhow. One man up here served 9 years in the military. Another told me, and I love this guy, he served 6 years, 9 months, 11 days, 4 hours, and 14 minutes, and said, I'm out of here. One of the guys sitting up here is a direct descendant of Bad Prince John. You remember Richard the Lionheart's brother, the bad guy? He's a direct descendant from him. Another is a descendant of John Alden of the Mayflower. At least 2 of these had siblings in the military about the same time as they were in. And probably every man here had an ancestor that fought for freedom during the Revolution. No, these are not Johnny-come-lately men. Freedom for all is in their blood. And aren't we fortunate to be able to call them our senior veterans? At this time, I'm going to call on you individually, one at a time, and ask you to introduce the members of your family that came here tonight. Because when I gossip about you, I want to know who I'm talking about. I want to start at that end with Phil, my favorite buddy, Phil Norton. Phil, would you please rise and tell us who your family is that you're related to, or whatever, not related to. You're not. Raise your hands. There you go. Do you have any stories that you would like to share with us? Bill, Second Lieutenant Bill.
My wife, Audrey, is here.
Oh, and we got some spares here.
pleased to be here around these guys who've done, I know, much more than I have. Thank you.
We will talk afterwards. Stu, that's man Stu.
That stuff is strong. Now that's the chair, not me.
Would you like to tell us who your family is here? Don't tell me no.
I don't know, I know her parents were influenced.
Honey, kids on my lap.
Bart.
You just have to go out and hire one or two.
You want to tell them why Bart is here?
What?
We go through this. I mumble. Do you want to tell them why Bart is here? Besides wanting dessert.
He's one of my best friends up here.
And what else? Tell them what else. Who's he filling in for?
Oh, well, my son couldn't make it because he was down in South America. He took his family down there for a week or so. He didn't know this was going on. So I said, well, go out and get Bart.
Bob. Sergeant Bob. Maybe Stu can help me. Who came with you today?
Pardon?
Who came? See, I'm mumbling again. Who came with you today?
Mr. Wilcox down there.
So raise your hand, Mr. Wilcox. Where are you?
That side.
And
Post command.
Connie's son.
Okay. All right.
They come over to the house and got me.
Good. Good for them. I can't believe I forgot that. Oh, Seaman second class, Elston. Someone help Elston up to
I'm getting weak. So we've been working in the hayfield, and that's where my son and grandson are now, bringing the
bringing in the sheaves.
Yeah. Doug Clapper bales in the big bales, and we have to pick them up with a forklift and so on, bring them in. That's why they're not here, but my wife is right there. And appreciate...
Don't you have a brother here?
Pardon?
Don't you have a brother here?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he's the youngest one. He's 10 years younger than I am. In the family, there was 6 of us boys. And two other ones are veterans, too. And so there was 3 of us in the military. And I guess that's enough I have to say about that as far as that goes. I appreciate this celebration and all the guys that are waiting.
Now we go to the guy that has he was a quartermaster, striker, and something else. Oh, a carpenter's mate. Brother Jim.
17 years old and in the Navy. And a lot of guys were younger than that. God bless them. Some made it, some did.
Aren't you going to introduce your wife and your daughter and your son?
Yeah, Doug. Jane, by the way.
What about Sue?
Boy, oh boy.
You want to talk to Phil Norton to get this straight?
Hey, that was an Steve. Sue and Brett.
Staff Sergeant Bob. Bob.
My wife, my 2 sons, grandkids, grandsons, granddaughters, and their wives. They're all here. I have to salute my father. He was in the Second World War.
All right. Now, after the program is over and you get your victuals, we have put together little mini bios of these folks, and we didn't want you thumbing through them to try to figure out who we were talking about. So that's something you could take home and read in front of the television tonight, so it's yours to, we'll have the little girls hand them out after you know, when you're getting ready to leave. So you'll know a little bit about these young men up here. So just hang in there. You don't have to, there'll be no test after this. During the time these men served, on the home front, our entire nation sacrificed. Not so anymore. Now it's just another day at the beach, McDonald's, or on the golf course. Let's travel down memory lane for just a moment. Some of you, it won't mean a thing too, but me and Phil will know. How many of you remember blackout curtains? Show of hands. Oh, 2 people, wow. We're going to have a program on blackout curtains next week. How many remembered when you were in grade school you had the air raids, when that sign went off you dove under your desk with your geography book on your head? Oh, there we go, we got some that remember that. How many of you helped flatten tin cans for the war effort? Ooh. And how many of you were asked as a school project to go out and pick milkweed pods in about August or September? This was after the attack on Pearl Harbor, where we could no longer get silk for parachutes. So we had to go out and gather milkweed pods, and that's what they used to make parachutes from. How about rationing? I mean, there was sugar, meat, chocolate, tires, and my buddy Phil over here said, don't forget gasoline. What was it?
Rationing cards.
And that's right, you had the rationing cards for them. See, even Staff Sergeant Bob remembers that. And if you asked the folks here today, probably half of you, if I said to you, explain to me the Battle of the Bulge, you know what they'd say? It's a bunch of fat guys trying to get skinny. So what is the solution to these gripes that we have? We like to see things change. Solutions are easy. Like, you take, your bathtub is really grimy. So you go down to Ebb's Market and you buy a bottle or a can or whatever of Scrubby Bubbles. I tried this, I know. Brought home, set it on the bathtub. It sat there for a month. The tub never got any cleaner. Never. You have to implement it. You have to do something with it, and that goes with anything. It takes hard work to implement these solutions. And these servicemen did not stop when they left the military. Most of them were involved in community service of one kind or another, and they married ladies that were and still are community service minded. Just look at our Silvara Ladies Aid. Half of them are married to these people here. We don't know if Phil knows who they are. And also at the end of this program, you'll be getting a handout with some of the accomplishments of the Ladies Aid from back in the 1860s to the present day. The one I like the most of the whole thing, because I only listed about maybe 20 of them, is we finally got rid of the manure spreader out of the driveway. It was there for 100 years. If we could have another song back there, Mel. I love that, yes ma'am.
I'm going to let my best friend here, Ed Fassett, sing one, please.
We'll do one of Merle Haggard's that he put out back in the early 70s. One
one called The Soldier's Last Letter. When the postman delivered a letter, it filled her dear heart with joy. But what she didn't know, till she read the inside, was the last one from her darling boy. Dear Mama was the way that it started, and I miss you so much. It went on. Well, I didn't know that I loved you so, but I'll prove it when this war is won. Now I'm writing this down in the trench, Mom. Don't scold if it isn't so mean. You know what you did when I was a kid, and I had come home with mud on my feet. Now the captain just gave us our word, and Mom, we will carry them through. I'll finish this letter the first chance I get, but until then I'll say I love you. Then the old mother's hand began to tremble, and she fought against tears in her eyes, for there came on a shame where there was no name. She knew that her darling had died. At night as she sat by her bedside and prayed, God in heaven, hear my plea, and protect all the sons who are fighting tonight, and dear God, keep America free.
Thank you very much. Before I go any further, I have to thank two special people for the work that they did for this program. Linda English and Sharon, what's her name? Oh, and because without them, this never could have happened. They're absolutely wonderful. And no matter what you ask them to do, they're always willing to do it. And if you need anything done at all, just offer them cookies and coffee. Thank you very much. Let's give them a hand. Now, it's baseball season, and most of the time the guys from the wars were always baseball fans. Always. And just as in baseball, it's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 2 men on, and you're 2 runs down. With any luck, your cleanup hitter is up to bat. And that's what we have here. We have our cleanup hitter. And he is going to take us with a bunch of home runs. And our cleanup hitter tonight, Ward Booth. Let's give him a big hand.
Hey, didn't you see all the concerned looks when I walked through the door tonight?
No.
Well, just to put everybody at ease, I forgot my speech. It was only an hour and a half. So, please bear with me. Tonight, as we come to honor our veterans, we thank the Ladies Aid Society and the Tuscarora Township Historical Society for allowing this event in the Ladies Aid Hall. Opening us on a sad note, unfortunately there are two people that can't be here tonight. They were summoned by the Almighty. They're in their heavenly home. I speak of Rosie Loda and Louise Norton. They'd be very proud if they were here tonight to honor their husbands. Freedom is not free. Thanks to our vets, we have continued freedom, but there's a continuous price. We have the right of free speech, we have the right to worship. Some would remove that right from us. Something forever we're going to have to guard, and future generations are going to have to guard. Back during the Vietnam War, there was a time when the veterans wouldn't even wear their uniforms into town when they were off duty. People would harass them. But things have changed a little bit. Maybe I'd say they've changed a lot for the better. When I see a veteran, say in the grocery store or someplace, I never hesitate to walk up to them and say, as I say to these gentlemen here, thank you for your service to your country. Really, it boosts their morale. And also, if you're attending a family function or something like that, thank that veteran who served for the country. Now, I told you I forgot the speech, but you got something better here. This is a poem written by the late Johnny Cash. It goes as follows. I walked through a country courthouse square. On a park bench, an old man was sitting there. I said, your old courthouse is kind of run down. He said, nah, it'll do for our little town. I said, your flagpole has leaned a little bit. And that's a ragged old flag you got hanging on it. He said, have a seat. And I sat down. I said, I think it is. He said, I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that old flag. You see, it got a hole in that flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware, and it got a powder burn the night Francis Scott Key sat watching while writing Oh Say Can You See. And it got a bad rip in New Orleans with Packingham and Jackson tugging at its seam. And it almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag, but she waved on though. She got cut with a sword at Chancellorsville. She got a cut again at Shiloh Hill. And there was Robert E. Lee, Beauregard, and Bragg, and the south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a Bertha gun. She turned blood red in World War II. She hung limp and low by the time it was through. She was in Korea and Vietnam. She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam. She waved from our ships upon the briny foam, and now they've about quit waving her back at home. In her own good land, she's been abused, she's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused. And the government for which she stands is scandalized through all the land. And she's getting threadbare and wearing thin, but she's in good shape for the shape she's in. Because she's been through the fire before, and I believe she can take a whole lot more. So, we raise her up every morning, take her down every night, we don't let her touch the ground, and we treat her just right. On second thought, I do like to brag, because I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag. Thank you, Johnny Cash. Now, I was doing a little digging on the internet here, and Let's look up the Pledge of Allegiance. Here it is, IPledgeAllegiance.com. At the bottom they say here, this site is intended to help maintain awareness of the profound importance of the pledge. So it talks about school kids every morning going to school saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. But here is what opened my eyes. Because the pledge has become so ingrained in our daily life, like so many other things, we can habituate to its presence and stop paying attention to its deep meaning. I was irate, and it's turned to sadness. And this just touches on what Hedy was just saying, how the respect is gone. Unfortunately, these people they don't sign their names to people who write garbage like this. So if they did, they'd have some few choice words from me.
Thank you.
Now, showing my age, let's go back a few years. Let's go back to World War II, and specifically the 14th day of August in 1945. At that time, I was with my grandparents who resided in where Walton's do now, over here across the street. And Silvaraville was a sleepy little town back in those days. First thing in the morning, there'd be just a couple cars leaving town because, like Hedy said, it was gas rationing back in those days. You had an A, B, C, or X sticker on your windshield. So after a few people went to work, we had our township supervisor, Ole Parker, who used to park the township truck in the building next door here, which is now an apartment residence, but that was a township garage over there. There you go. About 9 o'clock or so in the morning, you see one mail carrier come up, you see another mail carrier come up. Ori Wood would go down with his milk truck. And by golly, there have been times I've been in the front yard the whole morning. There wouldn't be another car till, say, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's how quiet it was. Well, on the evening of August 14th, 1945, we got a little surprise. The church bell started ringing, and it rang and rang and rang. So, what the heck's going on here? Well, out here at the edge of the road, just this next to the bridge abutment, there used to be a big old maple tree used to be out there. And there was a nice long bench. And the bench was put there by L.G. Bennett, the man who ran the garage across the street. And that's where men used to congregate eating. So it didn't take me long to get down here and find out what the heck is going on. Why is this church bell ringing? It was the end of World War II. President Truman had come on the radio on about 7 p.m. on August 14th to announce that the Japanese were accepting the terms of surrender. Now, often August 15th is said as the day of surrender, which is also correct. Why? Because the international date line. The Japanese were on the other side of the date line. So when they sent the word that they would accept the surrender terms, then it was August 15th over there. Now, we finished with the church bell ringing. The treaty was formalized on September 2nd on the USS Missouri, which was parked in the Tokyo Bay. And it was just a matter of time when that treaty was formalized aboard that ship. I don't know if you all ever saw any pictures of it or not, but the Japanese had a delegation. Please rise with me as the bell rings in the honor of our veterans. Thank you. You may be seated. Ring one time for each veteran attendant. Now, at this time, if our musicians would be good enough, you give us a closing song.
Could I just interrupt for one moment? Because I like the people that are, if you mind me interrupting because I do it to you all the time. Oh, you don't. Don't talk to Phil Norton. I would like everybody that is a veteran to please raise their hand. All right, and over here, because I almost missed him, there's another one over there. This is Phil Culver, who was born and raised here in Silvara and was in the military, and you are?
Phil Norton's boy.
That's what he told you? Let's give them a hand, too, because we're so... All yours again.
Thank you. Something I need?
No, you're ready for your music, I guess.
Yeah, I said, you already passed the word.
Oh.
You're all getting screwed up over there.
Since you mentioned Johnny Cash, I think we'll do a Johnny Cash song.
Want to sing it?
I'm going to let Ed do all the work.
They tell me it's no sin to be blind, it's just awful unhandy. I hear trains coming, it's rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine, and I don't know when, but it's the folks in prison. Time to drive me home. And the train keeps moving. I'm down to San Antonio. When I was just a baby, well, my mama said, my son, always be a good boy, don't ever play the gun, but I shot when we know. Watched him die. And when I hear that whistle, hang my head and I cry. I'm drinking coffee, smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. Hello, people moving, and that's the torture me. Free me from the prison and never return to mine. And I'm moving on, far down the line, well, far from home and prison, where I won't stay. And I let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. From the prison and that little friend of mine that I'd moved it on a little far down the line, well, far from home and prison, where I want to stay. And I've let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. Yeah, let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away.
give a closing here, and then I'd like a closing song from Doug, whatever, because you told me you practiced a couple of great ones. And then you all will remain seated, because guess what? The pretty ladies are going to take photos of these nice young men here, okay?
Gracious Father, we thank you for this gathering. I ask you to bless all these folks that's come from far and near as they travel home. Bless our senior vets. Bless them with the acknowledgement that this community loves them and thanks them for the service they provided us. Thank you for the lessons we learned this evening, the lessons of the opportunities, the things we can do that are simple in our lives that make a change in the world around us. And thank you for the education of the sleepiness of our town and the relevance that it has in the world around us. And thank you for all the young folks here, that they see the example of these senior vets and the opportunities for them to serve in the future to keep our freedom such as it is. Bless all these beautiful ladies that's prepared the food for us and the hearts that they have for these folks to gather and celebrate their lives. And we thank you for musicians, Mel and Ed and Doug. And we thank you for Hedy as she spearheaded the thoughtfulness of this celebration. It should be an example for other communities to do the same thing. What an opportunity and a beautiful thing it would be if this could be seen in other places to celebrate our events. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. Bless all those gathered. Amen.
This next song is a Toby Keith tune. And although everybody's got one in the front, but he's not read so many copies. This song is American Soldier, and I hope I can get through it because I get a little misty sometimes. It reminds me of my godson who died serving his country. And this is dedicated to our veterans up here and all those veterans that put their life on the line. American Soldier. Trying to be a father, raise a daughter and a son, be a lover to their mother, everything to everyone. I'm an Adam, bright and early. I'm on business in my suit, yeah, dressed up for success, from my head down to my boots. I don't do it for the money, bills that I can pay. I don't do it for glory, I just do it anyway. Providing for our future, I'm my responsibility. Yeah, real good under pressure, being all that I can be. Can't call this shit on Monday, the weekend's been too strong. I just work straight through the holidays, sometimes all night long. Getting back and I'm getting when the wolf growls at the door. Damn solid, damn safe, damn true down to the core. And I will always do my duty, no matter what the price. I've counted up the cost, I know the sacrifice. Oh, and I don't want to die for you, but when I exactly me, I'll bear that cross with honor, 'cause freedom don't come free. I'm an American soldier, an American, beside my brothers and my sisters. I will proudly take a stand when liberty's in jeopardy. I'll always do what's right. I'm out there on the front line, sleeping peace at night. An American soldier, I'm an American soldier. An American soldier, an
thank you to our musicians. Let's give them a nice big